ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Jai Gurudev. Actually, in order for us to get back to the train of thought of the second chapter, if it's fine with all of you, we'll repeat shloka number 47 and then go forward. So just reading a little bit before that. So Krishna is now opening up the topic of Karma Yoga. Yeah, we'll go from 46th verse onwards. Yavanartha udapani sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. Sarvataha, everywhere. Sampluta udake, when it is being flooded. Udapani, in a pond or well, any small reservoir of water. Yavan, as much. Arthaha, use. Tavan, that much. Vijanataha brahmanasya, for the knowing brahmana. Sarveshu, in all. Vedeshu, the Vedas. So, sarvataha sampluta udake, udapane, yavan arthaha tavan vijanataha brahmanasya sarveshu vedeshu. For the brahmana who knows the self, all the Vedas are of so much use as a small reservoir is when there is flood everywhere. The reason Krishna asked Arjuna to go beyond those parts of the Veda, dealing only with samsara, is given in this excellent verse. The word Brahmana means one in whom sattva is predominant. Therefore, a Brahmana is a thinking person, a discriminating person. The word Vijanataha, qualifying the Brahmana, refers to one who knows What is it all about? For an enlightened Brahmana, Vijanataha Brahmanasya, Krishna says, the portion of the Veda relating only to samsara is as useful as the water from a well when the entire countryside has been flooded. Sarvataha Samplutodake. When the wells and ponds themselves are underwater, you need not look to them for water. The end of seeking. The various means and ends talked about in the Veda are all limited so that any result you derive from the karmas enjoined is also going to be limited. The wise person is the one who knows he is limitless Param Brahma. When a person is limitless Ananda, where is the necessity of looking for Ananda? Because the very nature, Swarupa of the person is Ananda, one who has this knowledge does not look for Ananda, just as a sugar crystal does not require any sugar at all to make itself sweeter. Nothing can become sweeter than sugar. Once something has crystallized into sugar, it cannot be sweetened any further. The very crystallization indicates that the sweetness saturation has been reached. The American system of government may be better than the Russian system, but their sugars are both the same. In the same way, you are Ananda by nature. When you are Ananda, you do not require any source of Ananda, any source of security. But this is exactly what you are seeking through all these karmas, means, and ends. Therefore, the various means and ends mentioned in all four Vedas will only be of as much use, tavan sarveshu vedeshu, as the small ponds and wells are when there is water everywhere. When the ponds and wells are already flooded by water, where is the pond or the well, in fact? All that Krishna said in the previous verses was to create in Arjuna an interest in Karma Yoga, which Krishna has not yet talked about. He had only talked about Sankhya, knowledge. After asking Arjuna to listen to what he had to say about Karma Yoga, he began praising it, saying that there was no possibility of losing anything or incurring any wrong result by its practice because Karma Yoga is not mere karma. He then pointed out that people do karmas because they do not know what they really want. Since what they want is not very clear, they go after enjoyment and power. However, when what is wanted is very clear, the mind is settled. The storm is over, and there is no more interest in experimentation. There is no more trying to see if this or that will do it. All experimentation stops because there is clarity with reference to what is wanted, which itself is a great blessing. Then it becomes a question of whether you want to live a life of sannyasa or karma yoga, the only two lifestyles open to you. Between the two, you have a choice. But in fact, there is really very little choice because it all depends upon where you are. Sannyasa may not be advisable at all. Therefore, karma yoga is preferable. Both have a common goal. Both are meant for moksha in the form of knowledge. A sannyasi works for moksha, and so does a karma yogi. Although Krishna has talked so much about karma yoga, he has not actually said what it is. In the next verse, he explains it. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि. Karmani in action, eva only, te your, adhikaraha choice, phaleshu in the results, ma kadachana never. Karma, phalahetuhu, the cause of the result, ma bhuhu do not be. Akarmani, in inaction, te, your, sangaha, attachment, ma astu, let it not be. कर्मणि एव ते अधिकारः फलेषु मा कदाचन कर्मफलहेतुः मा भूः अकर्मणि ते संगः मा अस्तु. Your choice is in action only, never in the results thereof. Do not be the author of the results of action. Let your attachment not to be to inaction. Shankara takes the karma mentioned in this verse as purely scripturally enjoined karma, Vaidika karma, because that was what was under discussion. We shall look at it as any karma rather than strictly Vaidika karma, since karma yoga allows for it, and Shankara has said nothing to rule out the propriety of this approach. The word adhikara here means choice, your right, something over which you have power. This choice is only with reference to karma, the actions you perform. At no time, ma kadachit, however, there is a choice with reference to the results of action, phaleshu. Thus, with reference to all actions, you have a choice. But with reference to the results thereof, you have no choice whatsoever. This is a very simple statement of fact. Even for Vaidika karma, there is a choice. You can do it, you need not do it, and you can do it differently. This capacity to do, not to do, and to do it differently makes you a karma adhikari. An animal, on the other hand, is not a karma adhikari because it does not have a choice in its actions, but is motivated only by its instincts. When Krishna told Arjuna that he did not have any choice over the results of action, he was not giving him a piece of advice. It was a statement of fact. A statement of fact is not an advice, it is teaching. That water boils at 100 degrees is a statement of fact. Here also, with reference to actions and their results, the statement, your choice, is only in action, never in the results thereof. Karmani eva adhikaraha te ma phaleshu kadachana is a statement of fact. The definition of karma yoga. Yoga is defined in three different ways in the Gita. The karma yoga that Krishna is praising is defined in two ways in this chapter. The first is evenness of the mind is called karma yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. The second is discretion in action is called karma yoga. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Both definitions are necessary and need to be understood. Only then karma yoga, only then can karma yoga be properly understood. Samatva and Kaushala are defining words for Karma Yoga. Samatva is based on the sentence in the present verse Karmani eva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana. Samatva means sameness, and sameness of mind is Karma Yoga. Karma is also definitely involved in Karma Yoga. Otherwise, there would be no Karma Yoga. Then the third definition of Karma Yoga is dissociation from association with pain. Then there can be karma without yoga, but without karma there can be no karma yoga. If karma yoga implies karma, then there must be sameness, samatva with reference to karma. Let us see where the sameness is possible. Sameness is not possible in the karma itself because you cannot do the same karma during the entire day, day after day, throughout your entire lifetime. Cooking is one karma, eating is another, and stirring the food in the pot is yet another. Removing the pot from fire is a different karma altogether. The karmas are therefore endless. Sitting, standing, switching the stove on, switching it off, and so on. Obviously, then, the karmas cannot be the same because they are different. Perhaps we can say that the results of karmas, the karma phalas, are the same. Again, it is not possible. When you heat water, for example, there is one result. And when you switch off the stove, there is another, entirely different result. The water that was hot slowly becomes cold as it loses its heat. Thus, different karmas are done for different results. The results vary. If you do not get a different result when you switch the stove on and off, you have a different kind of problem in that the stove is not functioning properly. Normally, the results will be different. Thus, neither karmas nor their results can be the same. In fact, different karmas are done for different results. Every karma is desire based. Every action presupposes desire. Therefore, desire also cannot be the same. I do different karmas because I want different results. Desires are meant for results alone, and the results are different. Thus, samatva is not in the karma, its results, or the desire upon which the karma is based. In fact, samatva can only be with reference to your attitude concerning the results of action. While you have a choice over your action, you are helpless with reference to the result. You are not Ishvara. You are just an individual with limited knowledge, limited power, and ever so many desires. You have countless likes and dislikes, raga dvesha to be fulfilled. Therefore, you undertake various activities. Karma is totally desire based. Whatever be the nature of the karmas you do, they are all meant for fulfilling your raga dveshas, commonly called desires. Raga is with reference to what you want to have, what you want to retain, and dvesha is with reference to what you want to avoid, what you want to get rid of. That you want is kama, desire. What you want is defined in terms of either raga or dvesha. Everyone has likes and dislikes. They form the nature of an individual and are common to all. They may reveal how cultured, how sophisticated a person is, but the fact that everyone has likes and dislikes is common. There is no exception. Because of the presence of raga dveshas alone, there are various activities, and all the karmas undertaken are meant to produce the desired results because both raga and dvesha are result oriented. You want to accomplish this being the result. It is not that you want to accomplish karma, you want to accomplish the result, and for its sake, you do this karma. Since you perform a particular karma to accomplish a specific end, it seems as though you have figured out which karma will produce which result. But then you find that what you had figured out is not that predictable. In fact, you find that you can get exactly the opposite of what you thought you would get. What you want is one thing, but what you do seems to be either inadequate or inappropriate as it produces the opposite result. If we analyze any result, we find that it always falls into one of the following categories: more than what we want, less than what we want, the opposite of what we want, or exactly what we want. If you want to cross the road and you do so, finding yourself on the other side, you get what you wanted. The result was as you expected. If you wanted to cross the road to catch a bus, and while doing so, someone offered you a ride right to where you were going, you got more than you expected from crossing the road. Had you not crossed the road to get to the bus stop, you would not have met the person who offered a ride. Or, having wanted to cross the road, you may have found yourself in the hospital, having only reached the middle. The result can be entirely different from what you wanted. You may have wanted a job, but instead, the person who interviewed you for the job you did not get sold you what turned out to be a winning lottery ticket. You did not get the job you wanted, but you did get something entirely different, and in this case, most desirable, $1 million. All these situations are possible because you are not omniscient. Also, there is a certain helplessness involved. Therefore, keeping all your fingers crossed may not be enough. You may be better off by crossing your toes also. What is up the sleeve of the future is always a wonder because we simply do not know what is coming next. We do not even know what our next thought is going to be, even after having lived for 40 or 50 years. Yet we talk about the future. This then is the helplessness of the individual, the jiva, the limitations of the jiva. Wherever the jiva is, power wielded by that jiva is limited. Even Indra's wings are clipped. He does not have total overlordship because there are other domains where he is not even given entry. He may say, I am Indra, and still be told to leave. Someone might say, you might be Indra in your own loka, but here you do not even have the status of a mosquito. Get out. Thus, we find that no one's wingspan enables him or her to go everywhere. Such freedom, such limitlessness in terms of knowledge and power is not there for anyone. Our knowledge and power are both limited. For want of knowledge, we cannot avoid what we want to avoid. Knowledge is not limitless. If it were, there would be no problem. Exactly what I want to happen would happen. I would know that this action would produce that result. Limitless knowledge means limitless power also. If you have limitless power, you do not need to do anything other than think a thought. The thought you have will shape itself perfectly. God did not commit a mistake when he thought that an avocado would be the fruit that has a big pit. It was meant to be that way. It would not be an avocado if it did not have a big pit. An apple, on the other hand, should not have a big pit. Only then it is an apple. This is how the creation is. When there is omniscience, the thoughts are clean and complete. Nothing needs to be done. Thus, God did not need 6 days to create the world. It is not that on the first day God did this, and on the second, third, fourth, fifth, and 6 days he did a few more things. Or that, having created everything else, he found there was no light and had to put up a sun there. How could he have done all those things, other things with no light? How could there be a first day without a sun? A day is due to the sun alone. Nor is it that God was doing a job that required him to do certain things on the first day so that he could paint on the next. On the third day, he did not look at what he had done before and decide that it was unsatisfactory and rearrange the whole thing. God is not an architect. If the Lord is omniscient and omnipotent, all that is required is a sankalpa, a thought. Even we, as mere mortals, do better in our dreams. We think of a world and it is there in front of us. If we think of a mountain, the mountain is up. If we think of a lion on the mountain, the lion is there. If we think of an African jungle, it is all there. We need not do anything, nor do we have to go anywhere. It is all there. We created it. And if we want everyone to come and see our creation, they come in droves in every imaginable means of transport because we have the capacity to create them all in an instant. A capacity similar to this in the Lord, of course, is what is meant by omnipotence. That is why he is called a Satya Sankalpa, one whose thought, Sankalpa, is true, Satya. When the thought is there, the whole thing is there. This is omnipotence. The results of karma can never be predicted. The results of karma can never be predicted. However, for you, power and knowledge being limited, certain situations cannot be avoided. For want of power, you cannot avoid certain illnesses or accidents, like falling from a tree. You know that you are falling, and you may even know that you are accelerating downward at a speed of 32 feet per second per second. All this you know very well. But so what? Down you come. It matters not whether you are a great physicist or an ignoramus. One may know all the reasons as to why he or she is falling. The gravitational force, 32 feet per second, and so on. While someone else has no understanding of gravitation at all. All that is known is that he or she is coming down. But for want of power, neither of them can avoid falling. Limitation with respect to power and knowledge, then, is the status of an individual. If this is so, Krishna's statement that one's choice is only over action, karmani eva adhikaraha te, is very important. You may say that there's really no choice because so much is determined by your past and so on, but that is an endless debate. The point is that you do have a choice. To understand that much is enough. You can perform a given action, you need not do it, or you can do it differently. That capacity you have, therefore, you do have choice. This is the reason why you do not do certain things and you can force yourself to do other things, even though you do not feel like doing them, or you can do them differently. As a human being, then, you have this choice, adhikara, but over the results of action, you have no choice whatsoever. Once you perform the karma, the result is taken care of. What choice do you have? If you had a choice over the result, you need not have done the karma at all. If you had any power over the result, you would always be successful. But because you are not omniscient, you do not know that a certain karma will produce a certain result. No one knows the ways of karma. To know how karma is going to produce its result and what result it is going to produce is very difficult to figure out. This is because your own past karmas may be inhibiting the results of the present karma. Thus, all we know is good and bad luck. Sometimes we find ourselves in the right place at the right time, and at other times we are in the right place but not at the right time. In order to get the desired result, I have to be at the right place at the right time. But I do not always know which is the right time and place. I can only keep trying. This means that there seems to be an element called luck involved here. But we do not call it luck. Instead, We refer to it as previous karma. If the cause effect relationship is understood, there is no question of luck. It is simply replaced by past karma. Being at the right place at the right time is karma, and being at the wrong place is also karma. Being at the right place at the right time is karma, right? And being at the wrong place is also karma. Therefore, we really do not know. We can only go by our choice, our free will. The use of one's free will. You have a free will just as there is a free wheel in a car. You can only go by that. Whether the brakes will work or not is anyone's guess. You can check them, but at any time they can give way. That is why they have special ramps every few miles on the highways for runaway trucks whose brakes have failed. It is not that every truck driver takes to the road without first having checked the brakes, but that anything can go wrong at any time. This is because when things are put together, their tendency is to fall apart. Whether it is a human system or any other system, the tendency is always the same. This applies, this tendency to apart applies to relationships and houses also. In fact, we often spend more time maintaining our house than living in it. Therefore, here you can only go by your free will. There is nothing else you can do. What the result will be depends on so many unknown factors that it is always a question mark. Whether what you want from a particular karma will happen as you expect it is anyone's guess. Since you do not have a complete choice over the results of action, you had better recognize this limitation. Limitation here is not helplessness. Helplessness is felt only when you do not accept the limitation, and therefore it has a negative connotation, whereas acknowledging limitation is being objective. Therefore, dismissing the concept of helplessness from our minds, we recognize our limitations as individuals. Because there is a limitation in knowledge and power, I cannot figure out exactly what I want, nor do I know exactly what any given action will produce. When I understand this limitation, I can respond to the results of action in terms of samatva, evenness of mind. Any result can be responded to in either of two ways: dispassionately with samatva, or like a yo yo, elated because I got what I wanted, or suicidal because I did not. And if someone saves me from suicide, I will respond again like a yo yo, feeling that I could not even commit suicide successfully, thereby developing yet another complex. This yo yo response is because I think I am the author of every result of action, when in fact I am only the author of action. Depression is created by some onerous responsibility you have assumed, one that is absolutely illegitimate. You take what does not belong to you and then smart under it because you cannot always produce what you want. This is a fact. Then, why do you not just accept the fact? All that is required is to accept it objectively, to accept that this is how the creation is. This is what you are made up of, and no one else, even a Swami, is made any differently. All human beings have the same types of limitations. According to the Shastra, even the Devas have the same limitations, albeit with small differences between them, just as there are between human beings. Similarly, while the President of the United States definitely has more power than other people, still he cannot appoint anyone he chooses as a judge. Once he realizes that he does not have a majority, he begins to withdraw quietly, proving that even presidential power is limited. Everyone's thumb has its size. Even if it swells, it can only become so big. The cause of one's sense of failure. Similarly, everyone has power only to a limited extent. You can improve your power, but only to a limited degree. Knowledge also is limited and can be improved upon only in a limited way. Anything else, such as your skills, health, longevity, your environment, are all limited and can be improved upon. But the improvement is always limited. Thus, there can only be an improved limitation. If this fact is understood clearly, then you do not take up the responsibility of authoring the results of action as you like. If you think you are the author of the results of action, you cannot but have a sense of failure. Is it not true? What is being discussed here is yoga. It is not jnana. It is simply an empirical, pragmatic attitude and has nothing to do with Atma and Anatma, the reality Brahman, and so on. It is simply looking at yourself as you are in the world, seeing how the world is, and your own position in the scheme of things. To convey this attitude to Arjuna, Krishna said, "Do not be the cause of the result of action. Ma karma phalahetuhu bhuhu, because you are not. Then what are you? You are merely the cause of action, karma hetu, not the cause of the result of action, karma phala hetu. You are the author of karma, but not the result thereof. Given this fact, the most appropriate thing to do is to take whatever result comes with an even attitude, samatva. By not getting what you want, you become wiser. Not getting what you want does not mean you have become a failure. It means only that your limited knowledge has improved somewhat. You have become wiser. Or, if the result is more than you expected, you are also wise. In addition, if you try again, thinking you will again get more, and the result is not as you expected, you say, "What luck?" Still, you have become wiser. Whether you gain or do not gain, there is always wisdom to gain. There is definitely something to learn. To know that you are the author of the action, but not the result thereof, produces samatva. In this context, samatva is nothing more than a pragmatic attitude. To make it karma yoga, we have to go one step further because karma yoga implies the acceptance of Ishvara. Unless you accept Ishvara, there is no karma yoga. There are a lot of people who are pragmatic and who take whatever happens in their stride and then proceed because they know it is all in the game of living and doing. They are more or less pragmatic, more or less objective, because of course they have had their bad days. This is simple samatva. Karma yoga requires the recognition of Ishvara. Samatva as yoga, on the other hand, requires one more aspect, recognition of Ishvara. Once we say the result of one's action is not within our control and that it is taken care of, the next question is what is it that takes care of it? All results are taken care of by certain laws, the body of which we call either the law of dharma or the law of karma. In fact, it is a law of karma. Other than the physical laws that we know and do not know, there does seem to be another order of law. We are always finding orders within orders. For example, when you lift your hand, physical laws are naturally at work. But there are also many other laws involved. Lifting the hand involves will. You have a thought and up it goes. There is nothing physical about this aspect of lifting your hand. You need not push any button. Thus, although we find that this physical body, this anatomical structure, is standing on this earth according to physical law, it is born into this world by certain biological as well as physical laws. There are also physiological and psychological laws. We find then that there are laws within laws so that when I perform a simple karma, even my past karmas may infringe upon the result that I want from this particular action. We really do not know if this happens or not because we find ourselves lucky or not very lucky. We appreciate that there is some law at work. Whatever is the law that governs the karma, and its result is the law of karma, and that law of karma includes various other laws also. No law is created by me. I am not the author of any law. If I were, I would not be helpless. I would always be able to accomplish whatever I wanted. There would be no problem. I could even reorganize the law to suit myself. I would not even need to cover the distance to reach a certain place. The place would come to me. Or I could think about being in a certain place and I would be there immediately. However, this is not the case. Therefore, we try to go by the laws and at the same time, we do not know very much about them. Recognizing the author of the laws. As one who knows very little, I can only go by the known laws and know that the laws are not authored by me. Then the question may arise as to who authored them. Certainly not my grandfather. He and his father and grandfathers before him were themselves all born of these laws. They existed because of the laws and they left the planet because of the same laws. The laws that bring people into being also take care of them and then take care of them for good. You find these laws always operating, and no given person can be considered to be the author of them. To recognize the author, then, is to take one more step. You must first recognize that the author of the laws produces the results of action and that the laws themselves do not. When you go one step further and recognize the author as Ishvara, the Lord, you have the beginnings of Karma Yoga. There are still more steps to go, but this at least is the beginning. The creation is not created by me. Therefore, whoever did create it is Ishvara, and this same Ishvara is the giver of the results of action. When you receive money from someone month after month, the postman is the one who actually gives you the money. But this does not mean that the postman is a benevolent person who goes about distributing money to everyone like Santa Claus. There is someone other than the postman who is to be thanked. Similarly, the karma phala, the result, is produced by the law, and the law itself is produced by another intelligent being. That all intelligent being, Brahman, is called Ishvara, the Lord, with reference to the creation. He is the overlord, in fact, the top man and the boss, not limited by time, space, or anything. The nature of the author. The Veda comes in here to address the question of the author and his creation. From that Brahman alone, the five elements are born. With reference to the creation, that Brahman is considered to be Parameshvara. Not only is he Parameshvara, the author, the maker of the creation, Nimitta Karana, he is also the material. This is another important point because the world, Jagat, is Mithya, having no independent existence apart from Brahman. It requires only a Mithya cause called Maya. Maya, also being Mithya, has no independent existence apart from the Satya Brahman. Whereas Satya does not depend upon anything for its existence. In the Maya, there is Satya. Being Mithya, the Jagat is also Satya, and so are we. It is not that originally there was Brahman, and now we have to cross over everything to reach that Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Wherever there is Mithya, there is Satya. And that Satya is the basis, Adhisthana for everything. Therefore, the Parameshwara himself, that Parameshwara himself, who is Param Brahma and who is the cause of the creation, Nimitta Karana, who is omniscient, Sarvajna, and omnipotent, Sarva Shaktiman, is also the material cause of the creation, Upadana Karana. Thus, he is not only the maker of the results of action, but also the very law, the very result of action, in fact. Because our topic is Karma Yoga, we will not go beyond this point here, since to do so becomes Jnana. We say then that Ishvara is the maker of the laws and also that the laws are not separate from him. The results of action coming as they do from the laws that are not separate from Ishvara, the Lord, and they come from Ishvara. It is this recognition of Ishvara that converts the simple samatva to karma yoga. Without Ishvara, what we have been discussing is nothing more than a pragmatic approach to life. But here we are dealing with a purely religious approach, which is entirely different because it recognizes Ishvara, the Lord, as the giver of the results of action, karma phaladata, and oneself as only the doer of action, karma karta. Therefore, to be a karma yogi, one has to accept Ishvara. Ishvara now has one more definition, one who has all knowledge, Sarvajna. And when we say Sarva Shaktiman, we mean that he is all powerful and has all skills, being the creator of everything. Another defining word we have seen is Karma Phaladata, the giver of the fruits of action. These definitions eliminate the problems that arise when it is said that God created all beings. I may naturally ask, Why God created one person blind and another lame? If I'm told that being God, He is justified to do whatever He likes and that I should not question Him, I will definitely ask why God's creation is even talked about, since it is obviously nothing to boast about, especially when I'm also told that He is all compassion. I am asked to worship and love Him, but when I look at this creation with so much human suffering, God's compassion falls apart for me. Then I'm told that he's justified in whatever he does and I'm supposed to love him. How can I? The explanation for human suffering. The answer to all of this is that not only is he the creator, he is also the creation. The individual jiva is non separate from and therefore not different from Parameshwara. The individual self, Atma, is Brahman, and therefore all that is there is the Atma that is Brahman. The Atma, the Jiva, is not created. When you say a person is created, it is only with reference to a given physical body at a given time. The Jiva is due to ignorance alone, and ignorance being beginningless, the Jiva is beginningless, Anadi. The subtle and gross bodies, Sukshma and Sthula Shariras, are born in the sense that the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, always adapts itself to the gross body, Sthula Sharira. We also find that the Sukshma Sharira is always in keeping with the Sthula Sharira it adapts itself to. Thus, only a cat's Sukshma Sharira is present in a cat's body and not a human Sukshma Sharira. Otherwise, the cat will not mew at you. It will talk to you saying, "Come on, it's morning, get up." We find that in this world of living beings, in each unit of creation, there is a Sthula Sharira, which is in keeping with one's karma phala. Ishvara, defined as the karma phala data, is not to blame. Nor do you need to justify Ishvara's action either. To do so would only be justifying your own. You did it, you got it. You asked for it, you have had it. And you have it also. You will continue to have it because you keep asking for it. Therefore, no one else is responsible for what comes to you. Every jiva is responsible for what that person is. This is the kind of responsibility that is assumed by the jiva here. You have a capacity, a free will to perform action. You can do whatever you want to do, but the result is always something that is taken care of by the law that is Ishvara. Why at all is this understanding necessary? To answer this question, we have to go a little more into the human psyche, defined here in the Gita as a psyche that operates on the basis of its own likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha. The entire Gita psychology is dealt with in terms of raga and dvesha alone. No other norms are used. Raga and dvesha can be in an unspelt form or a spelt out form. You may not know that you have a liking for something until you happen to see it closely. Otherwise, how is it that even though you meet so many people every day, one day you suddenly meet someone you like a lot? Of all the people you have met and known, why this particular one? In fact, it is a wonder to your family and friends that you chose this person as a life partner when someone else, whom they thought are more suitable, was already after you. There are a lot of likes and dislikes embedded in us which are not shaped properly. We may call them unconscious, subconscious, or whatever, but still they are unshaped likes and dislikes, meaning that they are not very clear to you, but they are evoked when situations appear before you. All these are included in the terms raga dveshas. Raga is that which is pleasing or desirable to you, and dvesha is that which is undesirable in your view. Both raga and dvesha are purely according to you alone. They are totally limited to the individual. Wherever psychology is involved, you must always know that it is according to you alone. When you say some man did something wrong to you, it is only according to you. In fact, if you ask the man, he will say that he gave you what you deserved. Thus, it is always a matter of perception, yours and the other person's. Avoidance of the undesirable is also a fulfillment. What should you do when your whole life is dedicated to the altar of raga dveshas? To fulfill dvesha, you must stall what you do not want to happen. And when you succeed, you are very happy that you avoided it. Some people have become great devotees simply by avoiding what could have been a very serious accident. They say that God saved them. When you avoid something unpleasant, it is a great relief. People talk as though it is a great accomplishment when really you did not accomplish anything. The incident that could have created a problem for you simply did not happen. Still, you are so relieved that you become a devotee. Why? Because something was avoided. Thus, avoidance is a fulfillment also. We see then that what I do not want and I have to get rid of. What I want to have, I should have. And what I already have that is desirable to me has got to be retained. This is raga dvesha. Therefore, all your activities are nothing but raga dveshas. All your psychological problems are also nothing but raga dvesha. What else are they? If you had no raga dvesha, you would have no problems. Just like in deep sleep. Until you sleep, you may have raga dvesha. The pillow may not be comfortable. The room may be too chilly for you, or you may have 100 other complaints. But once you have gone to sleep, there are no likes and dislikes. This raga dvesha argument is simple and complete. Certain things should be kept simple because the more you complicate them, the more problems there are. This applies especially to psychological problems which are based on one's anxiety to fulfill likes and dislikes, and also on the judgments one makes with reference to their non fulfillment. We have a little more to do. Um, okay, I think there is. If you're all okay with it, I will just continue to read till I finish uh, shloka number 47. It might take us maybe another 10 minutes. Tell me if it's okay with all of you.
Okay, Di.
We've anyway done this now. I think this is the third or the fourth time we are doing this. But just for completion's sake, let's go up until the 48th shloka. This Raga Dvesha argument is simple and complete. Certain things should be kept simple because the more you complicate them, the more problems there are. This applies especially to psychological problems, which are based on one's anxiety to fulfill likes and dislikes, and also on the judgments one makes with reference to their non fulfillment. Just give me a minute. The necessity for karma yoga is because people are in the hands of raga dveshas. Their behavior, their activities, their responses and prejudices, cultural, racial, and otherwise, are all controlled by their likes and dislikes. All prejudices and preferences come under raga dveshas, whether they are binding or non binding. It is said that even gods have preferences. When we worship Lord Ganesha, for example, we offer him a sweet modaka that we say he likes. This is based, of course, on our own likes. Thus, we impute our own raga dveshas to Bhagavan also. We say Ganesha likes this, Shiva likes that, and so on, so that we can deal with the deity as a person. You cannot deal with someone without preferences, but the idea is that our preferences should be non binding. Preferences should be non binding. In everyone's life, there are preferences that are non binding in nature and others that are binding. Preferences that are binding in nature are the ones we have to deal with. About those that are non binding, we need not do anything. In fact, the Gita Shastra does not deal with them at all because they are not a problem. Whenever the Gita talks about raga dveshas, it does so in terms of one's binding likes and dislikes only. Even the one teaching the Gita, Krishna, the Lord, had preferences. For instance, he always chose the flute. He did not come with a guitar or a veena. We know that he knew what he was talking about, as evidenced by his life. Whether we take him as a wise man or as Ishvara, the Lord, we cannot say that he had raga dveshas, even though he had his preferences. All of this is to point out that there are non binding and binding raga dveshas, and we must deal with the binding ones. The binding raga dveshas are those whose fulfillment is a must for you, and in whose non fulfillment you feel like a loser, a struggler, a seeker, all empty inside. You are a seeker because you have hope. You want to fulfill your likes and dislikes. These raga dveshas are binding in nature and they make you act. Action does not take place without reason. When you undertake a course of action, there is definitely a like or dislike involved. Raga dvesha is commonly called want or desire, kama. These likes or dislikes are behind every kind of action. We are talking here about the person who has just entered into a life of yoga for which the cause is karma. Therefore, the yoga should definitely include one's own likes and dislikes. When you say, I am a karma yogi, you have to accept that you have likes and dislikes to fulfill. To do this, you have to undertake activities which produce results, and these results are not always what you want because you have control only over your actions but not over the results. The results come from Ishvara. First, you accept Ishvara and then you accept Ishvara as the karma phaladata, the giver of the fruits of action. When you do this, you have a purely religious attitude, the attitude of a devotee, a bhakta. The recognition of Ishvara as the karma phaladata is what makes you appreciate Ishvara in your daily life. Even when you fall down and incur an injury, Ishvara's grace is at work. That you fell down and hurt yourself does not mean that his grace is absent. Under the law of karma, you escaped greater injury. You did not break altogether. One can fall down and receive a small injury, not be injured at all, or end up in the hospital never to return. All these are possibilities. Therefore, as a devotee, we see Ishvara working constantly. The attitude of a bhakta. No matter what the karma phala is, I confront Ishvara. When I open my mouth to talk, When my tongue is able to produce the words that tumble out one after the other, it is all because Ishvara is at work. Karma I can do, but karma phala is something that takes place because of the laws that are the Lord. Therefore, every action producing a result, even a small action like opening and closing the eyelids, is the work of the Lord. In every action, there is an intended result that sometimes happens and sometimes does not. It is all according to the laws. Therefore, as a bhakta, a devotee, I continuously confront Ishvara as I receive my karma phala. Since every result comes from Ishvara, I take it as prasada, a Sanskrit word that does not have an exact English equivalent. The word grace has a somewhat intangible connotation, whereas prasada covers both the tangible results and the intangible, the grace. When I offer a fruit to the Lord, it comes back to me, given to me from the altar. The fruit that comes back is called prasada. For an English word for prasada to exist, the concept must be there, and it is not there. A dieting person may refuse a laddu, but not when he comes to know that it is from Tirupati Venkateshwara. What converted the laddu into prasada? The tangible laddu becomes prasada because the person now knows that it comes from the Lord. Therefore, what converts a karma phala into a prasada is purely your recognition that it comes from the Lord. It is not just a statement, it is seeing, understanding. This is where the word experience can be used, if at all. It is a way of looking at the whole thing. Recognition that Ishvara is the karma phala data converts every karma phala into prasada. Therefore, prasada is not an object, it is a way of looking at an object. Prasada is purely symbolic. If a person with diabetes eats laddus, his blood sugar levels will definitely rise. Not because he is eating prasada, but because he is eating laddus. Prasada is an attitude, a way of looking at an object, which itself is born out of understanding that it comes from the Lord. Therefore, prasada can be anything: a fruit, a leaf, a sugar crystal, a laddu, or even a child. Because in India, a child is looked upon as prasada, there are many people who are named as prasad. Anything that comes to you as karma phala, as a gift from the altar of Ishvara, is called prasada, which includes the attitudes with which you receive it. Prasada is not received and then cast away disrespectfully. It is received in a certain manner. It is this prasada then that brings about samatva, sameness of mind. Once everything is prasada, I have nothing really to complain about. I have only something to learn. Therefore, when the karma phala comes, I take it as prasada. If it is more than what I wanted, I take it as prasada. If it is less than what I wanted, it is still prasada. And if it is exactly what I wanted, opposite to what I wanted, or different from what I wanted, it is all prasada. As every karma phala comes, there is a sameness in your reception of it. This is what Krishna is saying here, and when he tells Arjuna not to be the cause of karma phala. The karma phala hetu is Ishvara, not Arjuna. Arjuna is the cause of action, but not the cause of its results. Further, Krishna said, let there be no attachment to inaction. Akarmani sangaha ma astu. Action itself is not the problem. It is your response to the result of action that is the problem. Thus, inaction here means fear of action, not of action as such, but fear that the results you want will not come. Even before you begin doing an action, you expect to fail. Therefore, Krishna told Arjuna, That karma itself is not binding, nor does the karma phala bind him. It is his response to the karma phala that makes karma seem like a bondage. Thus, let there be a love for action, but let the results be received by you as prasada. Yeah, we'll just close our eyes and let's just reflect on all that we have listened and understood. Jai Gurudev. So recognition of Ishvara is important. Karma Yoga, Sannyasa are two lifestyles, and it's not really a choice because one is not still ready for sannyasa. He has no choice but to be a Karma Yogi. And to be a Karma Yogi, karma is required. And the two definitions of Karma Yoga as given in the Gita, second chapter, is one is Samatva Yoga Uchyate. And that Samatva cannot be with respect to action, the results, or even the desire that is prompting the results. Samatva can only be with respect to your attitude to the results of action. And what we're talking here of is not simple samatva, not just pragmatic samatva. We're talking of karma yoga. And in order to get into the portals of karma yoga, you have to recognize Ishvara as the karma phaladata. And then the fact that every action is prompted by desires. And the desire is based on our raga dveshas, which can be binding or non-binding. Throughout the Gita, what is being talked of is only the binding raga dveshas. Non-binding anyway are not binding. So it is the binding raga dveshas that bind us to the results of action. We think that we are responsible for the results of action. And then we consider ourselves either successful or we consider ourselves failures. If we get what we wanted or we do not get what we wanted, both of which are make us a yo-yo. We keep swinging from elation to depression. Whereas samatva, that karma yoga aspect of samatva, comes when the attitude to which your attitude towards the results of action is same. You're taking it as what? You're taking it as prasada. And therefore you see Ishvara in every aspect of creation. He is all knowing, whereas we as an individual, we have limited knowledge and power. He is omnipotent and omniscient. He's not just the creator of the universe, of the creation, he is also the material cause. So therefore, Ishvara runs in and through creation. And we are the maker of we create the blueprint for us. So when we compare ourselves with others underprivileged, it is not Ishvara's making, it is every individual's making. And the question of free will is when you have a choice to do, choice not to do, or to do it differently. And the karma phala that we get is dependent on the past karma. We call it luck or bad luck, but it's actually karma, karma phala of maybe the previous janmas. So as we talking, even the talking, anything can happen. All of a sudden, something might happen and the speech can just stop. So the future is not in our hands. The future is a wonder. what will happen in future. So taking everything as prasada gets you to that point of total acceptance of whatever is, and that makes one a karma yogi. And then at the same time, Krishna cautions, do not be attached to inaction. Why? Because inaction means a fear of action, fear that the results you want will not come. So you might refrain from doing any action. You might say, oh, why should I even act? I might get the opposite results. He says, don't do that. Do not be attached to inaction. Let there be a love for action, but let the results be received by you as prasada. So we have to continue to act. There is no escaping action. Jai Gurudev. Anyone else wants to share? Please do. We close the session here today. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Comfortably, easily. First, let us shake our hands. Shake our hands, and then let's keep our hands on our lap, or however you feel comfortable. And let's close our eyes. Let's keep our spine erect and body relaxed. We came into this planet weighing just 4 kilos or 5 kilos. Recollect or remember the weight of your body. It is 60 kilos, 70 kilos, whatever that is. Place your weight on the chair or on the floor you are sitting right at this point. Let's take a deep breath in. Hold the breath and let go. Honor your own body. Your body is the precious gift to you from nature. Become aware of your whole body. Skins, tissues, muscles, blood vessels, bones, and all the internal organs. Your body is a precious gift to you. Now let us come to the second dimension, your breath. It is our breath that is keeping our body alive. Your body is alive because of your breath. Take a deep breath in and let go. Incoming breath energizes the body, and outgoing breath brings relaxation. This is happening all the time. Let us honor our own breath. Become aware of the air all around you. Like fish in the water, we are in air. Relax more and more. Let's take our attention to the top of the head and become aware of the empty space above our head. Become aware of the space in the entire room that you are sitting. Embrace all the thoughts, pleasant or unpleasant, good or bad. Become aware of a point right in the center of your heart, center of your chest. And take a deep breath in and breathe out and relax even more. As the body relaxes, the mind expands. And as the mind expands, your body finds deep relaxation. This moment is nothing to do and nothing to know either. Just let go and relax. Repose in yourself. You are a fountain of love. You are an ocean of peace. Repose in yourself. Take a deep breath in with a smile and breathe out with a smile. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. As you breathe out, you may open your eyes.